What makes you unsuccessful? Is it about trying something and failing, or even not trying anything? Hello friends, I'm Burak and I'm searching for developer stories all over the world. Today's guest is Jaafari. He's bilingual software developer with 9 years experience. Besides being a technical person, he also gained experience in marketing his work, business development, hiring best people, and more. For the next few years, he is planning to focus on a new business that will be launched soon. Let's listen his story together.
Well, the story started when I was in high school, like because I love playing video games, etc. And also I love doing business. So at a moment, I asked myself if there is a possibility to just replicate the private server of the same game and make some money. So that was my start with SQL Server and C++, because the video game was made using C++ and SQL Server database.
So during that time till now, how did you improve yourself, like doing this kind of projects that you were curious of?
Yeah, so when I did my research, I found that you have to download certain files, etc., to do this, and there was a documentation cover. But then I was kind of curious, like I was reading names like what is SQL or SQL? Why should I have this installed in my PC? What does it mean? Then I had to do research to understand what each thing is, and that's when it fascinated me that you are able to do something just using code.
When you start from scratch learning programming, what was the difficulties that did you face?
The difficulties, like I believe that everyone will be in the same difficulty as I had when I started, which is the way of thinking. You have to understand the machine in order to create something or build something that will endure multiple breaks in the future. But to build that, you need to know what are the principles. So because I was just like amateur and just starting discovering what's that and trying to learn every day. So that was the difficulty, because when you want to do something, you find yourself like in a position where you have no way of coding, because you don't understand exactly what you should be writing in order to have the result you have in your mind.
What do you suggest for the people who starts the coding? Should they start from scratch, like basic of the computer science and like really basic, or is it okay just to start learning one framework or language like a JavaScript, Python or something?
So it depends on the person, actually. If the person wants to build and craft things, that's something else. And if a person just wants to find a job and just work for someone until like he retires, etc. So for the first person, I believe he should go over principles first, algorithms, architectures, patterns, understand what were the problems people in the past faced and how they solved it, so that you don't really replicate the same issues. For the second category of people, I think in order to just have a job, I think going forward directly to use a framework is gonna help. But still, I mean, if you don't have a great understanding of the fundamentals of what you're using exactly, you will have a big issues to finding yourself inside the company you're really working at.
Do you think is it easy to find a job as a software developer?
It's not easy. Nothing is easy in life to start with. So you have to put yourself in a corner where people can notice you. What does that mean? Is that you have to, like, because you are a beginner, people rush themselves to be senior in days or months. That's not going to happen. You have to go over years of experience, and experience may be with companies, maybe with businesses, but sometimes when you make things like a hobby, you you get your own experience on things, especially if you are someone who is curious about how things are being done and how to achieve a certain goal. So yeah, I think it's easy and not easy. It's not easy if you are someone who rushes things, and it is easy if you have patience and you know what to do, and what are the steps that are gonna lead you to land a good job, or what we call a dream job.
What do you think about the career path of a developer? What's the steps? First, basics and frameworks. What do you recommend for the junior developers?
For junior developers who really want to have a career as software engineers, I do recommend like to always learn from others, hear what others say, and don't jump on things quickly. Even if you, for example, you know about something and someone in front of you is making a mistake describing what you know exactly, don't jump off and start criticizing them. Maybe while they are making mistakes, you will understand something that you've never had the chance to read about somewhere, even if you are using the tools. And for your career, I believe reading books is something that a software engineer should be doing. Reading articles in blog posts, except that you have to make sure that you read to understand and not reading to copy paste, because copy pasting will make sense for you and it will be okay in a certain time. When you understand what you are copying and passing in your code to deal with it. But if you as a junior just copy paste and create bugs for yourself, that's going to be the hard way of learning things. It will take more time than it should be.
How did you get your first client project?
Yeah, well, for me, after school, I decided for myself that I should build myself as a good software engineer and someone who will build his own business in the future. That's why I refused to work for companies, even though I had companies calling me, etc. But because I decided to learn, I went over like freelancing in the first place. And my first client was a company here in my city. It was exciting, honestly. It was the first step where you will build something, put it online, and see people interacting with it. And like you start thinking about, wow, I'm doing something. People are using something I built. It's like when you say, here I am, here I exist, people, I can help you. So it was an exciting experience, honestly.
For the junior developer, do you think is it better to start by doing freelancer projects to gain experience, or to work in a company where also there are senior developers?
So if that person is able to find like an internship, at least in a company, I believe that's a good start for his career. Starting with a company is way better than freelancing. Why? Because you will find other senior developers or engineers in the company who will teach you things. Instead, freelancing, you will have a client asking you to do something and you may be doing it the wrong way, even if it's working. And that's not what you really want to have in the future. So it's better to start, I believe, to start with a company is a good choice.
You told me that you are also interested in the business. So how do you make transition between programming and business? How you implement it?
How you implement it is like with an experience of almost 9 years right now, I had a lot of clients across the world, not only in my country. And I understand the each market of each country I have been to, and the needs of solutions is always raising and rising in markets. And to stay as a software engineer for me for the rest of my life working for companies is not an idea I grasped long ago. Even if I were not to be an engineer, I would not like follow a career. Instead, I would like to learn and use what I learned to build something. And how to transition between two things is mostly just reading books. Like you are an engineer, you are a technical person, and when you are technical and you want to do your own business, it's gonna be hard a lot. Why? Because yeah, you will be doing the technical side so great, but what about other things like marketing? What about hiring good people for you to make things work? How do you do these kind of things? So you need to read the experience of other business men, like for example Steve Jobs, how he created his own like business model, like Bill Gates, like other big companies, CEOs and owners, how they made their own experience. Read, understand how they do the the solutions they implemented, they used to make themselves into a good marketplace. So yeah, reading books, reading articles about people's ideas, how they take on into problems and solve it, is also part of someone who really wants to do business. It's not only technical science.
You mentioned that you, during that 9 years, you had a lot of clients, not only
Yes.
locally, also internationally. How did you connect those clients, and how you find out their needs?
So when you get a client, the client is already have a like something. He does have an idea and he wants to just build it. But then for you should not just focus on coding and building the thing for that client. Sometimes spare some time with him, chatting, understanding his mindset, where things are, and just suggest yourself as a person who may help him in business also. Then you will start hearing things that you've never heard of your life, and search. As I said, once you search, you will find articles talking about those kind of things. Then learn about it. It will really help you. Focusing on technical things to just build something will not get you into a position where you will start your own business, especially a successful business. It's not easy.
What do you plan to achieve in your life, like as next step? You already have the 9 years experience.
Yeah, I've already tried 3 times so far to the business. I succeeded and I failed a few times also. And for the next few years, I believe that as we are working on something, me and another friend, that's going to be our focus for the coming months and years. And we are so soon to launch our new business. And hopefully this time, with the experience that we gained, we are going to make it a successful story, and it will remain there. Yeah, that's going to be the next things for us to do.
So what motivates you while working?
The motivation comes from multiple like persons, especially people that I know, clients that I know also, because I kept contacting them, because I still chat with my old clients, and I know of what they are doing, etc. And with their stories, they still give you some hope. They give you ideas, so you get motivated and move on. And also the thing, as a technical person, that what motivates me is using something new. Like you may create problems for yourself that you will solve in the future, and that's gonna also keep you motivated whenever you come and try to build your own solution or business. So it's a mix between like the entrepreneurship side than the technical side. You have to keep yourself motivated in both sides, because if not, you will not be achieving much.
You are a bilingual software developer and you know lots of things. What do you think? What is the most effective way learning and something new in programming? You mentioned already reading books, and what else do you suggest? Like watching tutorials or implementing it? How do you learn faster?
Mm-hmm. So if it is something that I believe is complicated, I will go for a video tutorial. And I believe in video tutorials, they will not touch every part of what you are going to learn. Let's imagine, for example, I will start learning C#. Watching video tutorials will help me understand how to code in C#, but it will not touch every part of the C# and its benefits. Okay. Then once I grasp and I understand the basics of C#, for example, I start practicing like what? I say, let's build, for example, a simple CRUD application. Okay, we do it. Once we finish, you start to say, for example, let's see if I can scale this, because you will have to keep yourself into track of what you built and in what are the resources it is using. Like, for example, you have built a desktop application, or how much memory your application is consuming, how much hard drive, what is using hard drive, what about the CPU, and you see your application is doing really bad. Then you say, how can I make it better? Like, this is where you refactor, and when you want to refactor, you will need to go deep into that language, for example, to find what are the solutions presented by that language to solve these kind of problems. That's when you have to go back to the official documentation or a book to find out the answers, because in the videos you will not find all the answers that you need. But I think that's a good start. Then, if you are someone who really have a good background, you understand paradigms, you understand patterns, design patterns, and architecture patterns, I think this is how you go. The first thing you should do is, let's move on to this language, for example, C#. You have to know, to understand what this language is doing. What is the paradigms like presented by the language, what the language is capable of and not capable of. Okay, then you start designing your way of learning that language. That's for professional people who really know and understand the basics, the root of things. But for people or juniors who just want to learn curiosity, I think starting with video tutorials, then going after a book or the official documentation is a good way also to learn something faster.
Thank you. It was a great answer, actually.
Sure.
How do you manage your time effectively while doing lots of things?
You have to split your schedule. So I wake up at 6 or 7 a.m. Then I took 1 hour for myself once I wake up, preparing breakfast or going outside. Then once you're back, I start working for the next 2-3 hours. Then I give myself rest, then do work on other things. And this is how it goes. Like you have to you need discipline, because if you don't have discipline, you will always be in a rush, and you will not be achieving a lot of things in your day. So you will always have to catch up in the next day to finish something that you've left in the last 24 hours. So I think the best thing that someone should do is waking up in the morning, then split up his time on what to achieve. And sometimes people, this is a good advice that someone told me. It's when you focus on something, you rarely like watch the time. And once you finish, you'll find yourself like time has flied and you've spent 6 hours to do that thing. Then you will find yourself like you've lost a full day and you didn't achieved much things, but you just focused on one issue. In order to do a lot of things in the same day, for example, if that issue is something that is recurring, like you may delay it also for the next day. The best thing that you should do is tell yourself that in this issue I will give it 2-3 hours maximum per day until I finish it. Okay, so that you can spare more time for other things. Sometimes you have things that can be achieved in just minutes or hours, and you leave it, and you keep focusing on things that consumes more time. So I think that's a good advice that I've received last week. It's a new, fresh advice.
How do you handle unexpected situations? Like you said,
Unexpected scenarios, you mean?
yeah, scenario like you are doing a client project that you have some deadlines and you need to finish in 2 days one part, but there are some errors and issues. It takes more than you expected. How do you handle this kind of situations?
Okay, so the first thing that you should think of is how to achieve the goal in the most minimalist way possible. That's where you have to. For example, let's think of a feature of an application. The feature consists of just like registration, login, and you have your own profile, like user profiles with the authentication. So as a technical person, you would love to do things correctly. You would like to use latest technologies and tools. That will consume too much time because you will have to learn first, then use it. Then you will you will find yourself with a bunch of bugs and errors where you consume more time just learning how to fix it. So if you want to use a great stack, leave it for another time. That's if you don't know how to use it. So if you want to use something new, leave it. But the first thing you should focus on is delivering something that works. Then you can refactor later on using something really a new stack, a new language, or whatever you want. So for example, for the authentication, I may just go with the using sessions normally like everyone is using, and just a form that will post your username and password and other details to a certain URL, and that's it. I'm good. I have built the feature. Then as a second version, I may move on from sessions to use, for example, tokens, JSON web tokens, for example. Then after that, as a version 3, I may move and use Firebase instead of using my own solution. But that's a split of versions, because the first one is something I'm capable of to build with ease in less time. I should not present myself with new technologies that I may not be able to handle. So instead, just build the thing using what I understand, what I'm capable of. Then maybe in the future versions, I can implement something new.
What 3 pieces of advice about your career would you give to your younger self?
The advice that I will tell myself, honestly, if I go back in time, is like, you've lost too much time playing video games. Yeah, that's the piece of advice I would tell myself. Like, if you love video games, if you love something else outside of your career, yeah, that's good. You can still do it, but manage it. Don't overdo it. Just for example, for video games right now, I started to fix this problem. I give myself 1 hour to 2 hours as maximum. Sometimes I don't play. I have to give myself more time to like level up my knowledge. That's something that will stick with me for the rest of my life, but not video games.
And any other?
Other advices. Yeah, the advice that I will also give myself is like, it's just exactly what we've been talking about, because the way I started my journey was wrong. I had to go and read and learn about the roots instead of jumping on directly into technologies and languages and all that. I should have learned about design patterns. I should have learned about architecture patterns, paradigms, and etc. etc.
Mhm.
Because if I learned that in an early age, I could have been in a better position right now. So that's a good advice that I'll be giving myself.
So that's true. And as a last one,
The third, I don't know, because those were the most things I hated about myself.
okay.
But as a third, I will be giving it to other people, which is patience. Be patient. Don't trust yourself.
Thank you very much.
Sure thing. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
See you later. Bye bye.
Yeah. Take care. See you later. Bye.